Hello, everyone. Tonight on Shdows Secrit, we bring you one of the most chilling tales ever told. Real disturbing encounters inside haunted police stations, where the line between justice and the supernatural disappears into the dark. Imagine walking through cold hallways where footsteps echo even when no one is there, where voices whisper through the static of police radios, and where the dead seem to wear the same uniform as the living. These are the places meant to protect people, but sometimes they protect something else entirely. The first story takes us to the Philippines, in an old police station built during the 1930s. The walls are stained with decades of fear, pain, and blood. Officers assigned to night shifts often complain of whispers, sudden chills, and shadows moving across the cells. One such night, Sergeant Reyes, a man with 20 years of service, heard the faint ringing of a phone deep inside the building. But all the landlines had been disconnected for years. He followed the sound down the hall until he reached the women's cell block. There he heard someone sobbing softly, the kind of sorrow that pierces your soul. He opened each cell door. All empty. Yet the crying grew louder, closer, almost inside his ears. Then, a cold hand brushed his arm. He turned slowly and saw a woman standing there, hair drenched in sweat, blood on her dress, rope marks on her wrists. Her eyes were wide and lifeless. She whispered, "Tell them I didn't do it," before fading away into a faint trail of mist. The next morning, Reyes searched the old archives and found her case file, a woman executed in 1952 for killing her husband, later proven innocent. Since that night, no one volunteers for the graveyard shift at that station. Some say she still walks those halls, searching for someone to clear her name, still bound by injustice and the weight of her final words. The second story brings us to the mist-covered highlands of Scotland, where a lonely police outpost stands surrounded by hills that swallow every sound. Constable Mackenzie, a quiet man known for his skepticism, was patrolling one evening when he received a call about a missing hiker. He and his partner searched the forest and found the man's abandoned tent near a river. They brought back the hiker's backpack as evidence and stored it in the outpost. That night, as fog rolled in thicker than usual, Mackenzie began to hear dripping water and the sound of footsteps pacing across the station floor. Thinking his partner was back, he called out, but no one answered. The wet footprints appeared on the floor, leading from the entrance to the evidence room. Mackenzie, heart pounding, followed the prints and opened the door. Inside, standing next to the table, was the missing hiker, pale, soaked, and covered in mud. His mouth hung open as if frozen mid-scream. Dirt poured from it as he tried to speak. Then, in an instant, the figure vanished, and the footprints dried. The next morning, rescue teams found the real body by the river, exactly how Mackenzie had seen it. That outpost was later abandoned, but locals still say that on foggy nights, you can hear the sound of dripping water and boots squelching across the wooden floors, like a man trying to find his way home. The third story takes place in Mexico City, in a busy police headquarters where one interrogation room earned the name La Sala del Diablo, the Devil S Room. In the 1980s, a brutal cartel suspect was beaten to death there during questioning. After his death, officers began hearing muffled cries and pounding from inside when the room was empty. Some even claimed to see the mirror fog up as if someone were breathing on the other side. Most avoided it until 2012, when Officer Delgado, a rookie known for his arrogance, decided to spend the night inside to prove everyone wrong. He brought a camera to record himself. At first, he laughed and mocked the stories, but the footage later recovered showed him suddenly freezing, his breath visible in the air, though it was a warm summer night. The lights flickered violently, and a deep, raspy voice whispered in Spanish, "You can't kill me twice." Delgado's face twisted in terror before the camera fell to the floor. When fellow officers found him an hour later, he was unconscious, with red marks around his neck, though the door had been locked from the inside. Delgado quit the next day and disappeared, The footage was confiscated, but a short audio clip leaked online. The faint sound of a man gasping for air, whispering, "He's still in that room." Even today, officers who walk by La Sala del Diablo claim they feel watched, as if something waits behind the mirror for its next confession. Our fourth haunting comes from India, in an abandoned police barracks used for storing old case files. The building had seen decades of corruption, violence, and tragedy. Inspector Sharma and his team were sent in 1999 to retrieve certain documents from the archives. The air inside was suffocating, filled with dust and decay. They broke open a rusted locker that hadn't been opened in years and found an old revolver inside, along with a moldy police uniform. Suddenly, the temperature dropped, the lights flickered, and heavy bootsteps echoed across the concrete floor. One by one, the officers froze. Sharma called out, thinking it was one of his men, but then he heard a whisper right beside his ear. "You took my honor." The lights went out completely. In the pitch dark, someone began breathing behind him. When the lights returned, the revolver had vanished, and the locker door was sealed shut again. Days later, the same revolver appeared on Sharma's desk back at the main police station. No one knew how it got there. After that day, Sharma suffered nightmares, claiming he saw a man in a blood-stained uniform standing at the foot of his bed every night. He resigned soon after, saying, "The dead still serve, and they want justice too." Finally, we traveled to a small town in the United States where the local police department stands over what used to be a courthouse from the 1800s, a place that once held public executions and later became a temporary morgue during wartime. In 2017, Officer Daniels was assigned to monitor the basement where old holding cells were kept. It was a quiet night until his radio crackled with static, followed by a voice calling out, "Officer down, corner of Main and 3rd. Daniels froze because that exact call had been made 5 years earlier. The night his partner, Officer Harris, was shot and killed. Then, through the radio, came Harris's voice clear as day. "Daniels, help me." The air grew cold, his flashlight flickered, and from the corner of his eye, Daniels saw movement. He turned toward the glass separating the cells and saw Harris standing there, in full uniform, chest soaked in blood, face pale and lifeless. Harris stared at him, lips moving slowly, whispering something Daniels couldn't hear. Then the lights went out. When they came back, Harris was gone. Daniels ran upstairs trembling and refused to return to the basement. Security footage later showed him running, terrified, but the cameras showed no one else there. Still, the radio recorded Harris's voice repeating one last time, "Don't forget me, partner." Since then, officers have reported hearing ghostly voices over the radio during quiet nights, fragments of old calls, voices of the dead asking for help, or whispering their badge numbers. Some believe these are echoes of their fallen comrades. Others think they're something far worse, spirits that mimic the dead to lure the living. Haunted police stations are the perfect blend of fear and justice, where guilt, death, and unfinished business collide. Every cell, every corridor, every case file tells a story not just of crime, but of punishment that never ends. In these haunted places, the past is never buried, and the dead never stop their patrol. They are the eternal guardians of truth, cursed to repeat their final moments over and over again. So next time you pass a police station late at night and see a lone light flicker in the window, ask yourself, is it just an officer on duty or someone who's been on duty for decades beyond the grave? The ghosts of justice still walk among us, wearing the same badges, carrying the same weight of duty, but serving a master far older than the law, the darkness itself. Thank you for watching Shdows Secrit. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more terrifying stories from the shadows.